Hey everyone, Kenny Shepard here from the Madera Speedway. It's May 15th and it's time for another update to give you guys an idea of what we're doing at the Speedway. We haven't had an update for 2 weeks. Last update was to announce that our phased-in plan was approved from Madera County. And here we are with an announcement getting ready to move from Phase 1 to Phase 2 that I'll make an announcement with a little bit of a forecast and let you guys know what we're working on for the next 4 to 6 weeks at the Speedway. Before that though, I want to touch on something else. I've been communicating with so many people on the telephone, email, every other means, text messages, but primarily on the phone. And I touch a lot of people, and it's kind of amazing to me from the West Coast to the East Coast and everywhere in between how many people I talk to around our TV show, around racing, business in general. And I talk to a lot of different people, and I want to communicate some of the things we're talking about. I've been pretty quiet overall about the coronavirus shutdown. I've been very respectful of the state, the counties, cities, and what they're trying to navigate. But I've also said from the very beginning in these communications with so many people that this goes clear back to March 12th, March 13th, March 12th, we were shut down. And I mentioned many times, somewhere around May 1st to May 15th, my prediction was things would dramatically change and we would see where we're at. And the reason for that prediction, a couple of months out, any business owner, any person that's doesn't have their job, things are going to look completely different at that point. So based on what the real numbers are versus what the predictions were, based on what your own financial situation is, that's going to cause a lot of stress. And I've said this many times, it's not just physical, it's emotional stress as well, and then financial. So there's emotional health and financial health as well that's very important to people. So with that, some of these conversations and many of the things that I wrote a couple of notes down here, a lot of the opinions have been really ramping up, obviously, but a lot of the opinions of individuals have been about staying at home. It really seems like the consensus now is, and I'm talking a lot of people that I communicate with, the consensus is people really aren't staying home. With a mass amount of people that have gone to Walmart, Home Depot, Costco, so on and so forth, grocery stores, everyone's kind of hitting these water holes and they're communicating or bringing back, what they bring back from the stores, back to the water hole theory. You hit these water holes and you bring everyone home a drink. You're all touching each other. So the consensus more and more is people aren't staying at home, but there's businesses shut down and there's a lot of tension and a lot of stress and anxiety on that. So with that said, it seems like the feeling is now every job is an essential job. And I think a lot of our local politicians, county supervisors in particular, probably city councilmen and mayors, they're feeling that pressure and they're trying to find that balance. And ironically, here just this afternoon, just a little bit ago, Atwater, my home where I live, Atwater City Council just voted in that Atwater would be a sanctuary city for small businesses to reopen. So I think they clearly understand the stress and the urgency that every job is an essential job at this point. Now, my opinion has been from the beginning, I thought from March 12th to about April 15th, I'll check my opinion at the door, be as kind and considerate as I can, and bite my lip. And there's a lot of bills coming in with zero money coming in on both of our businesses. But just bite my lip and see what we could do to help. And we got to April 15 and we shut down through May 1st, kind of the same opinion. But as we got past May 1st, I began to really analyze the numbers. So for a little perspective on the numbers, and again, all the people I communicate with, the feeling was really, all right, we did the right thing as a business owner, small business owner. We shut down and we took an absolute butt kicking from middle of March all the way to here we are, May 15, and it's really time to get rolling because people's livelihoods are on the line and all the employees and people that depend on them. In particular for us at the Madera Speedway, we've tried to navigate this as thoughtfully as possible and to lead. We work with a lot of other racetracks. We've worked very close with the county officials, county supervisors, friends up at the state, county health, our fairgrounds. Everyone has actually been very professional and very good to deal with. But they also understand the urgency, the pressure we have on us at Madera from the massive amount of jobs from this trickle-down effect from the speedway, any speedway in particular actually, from the people that manufacture the tires to people that truck parts to and from facilities, manufacturers of race cars, mechanics that work on them, people that make food, the hotel, motel service, restaurant service in local towns where these all the money comes in. And in our case, we've got a whole TV crew that depends on what we do at the Madera Speedway to make a living. We've got different people that work at the facility that depend on this for a living. So there's a lot of pressure from one end to the other on me in particular to get the ball rolling. So some of the numbers for perspective in these conversations have really come up. I've really dug deep in a lot of these numbers. From the very beginning, it seems like what I hear, the biggest frustration I hear from individuals I'm talking to on the phone is about the fact that it was back in March, heading into April, all of the talk was about flattening the curve. Let's flatten the curve. Let's not overrun our medical system and just completely wipe it out. So that was all the talk. So in California in particular, I did some research. 75,000 hospital beds were available, licensed hospital beds. And then there was various phases of putting more, 20, 25, 30, all the way up to numbers that were at 50,000 temporary beds. So that's 125,000 hospital beds. So in total today, May 15th, the numbers in the hospital in the state of California are 3,157. 3,157 out of 75,000 permanent beds available with up to 50,000 temporary beds. So of 125,000 beds, 3,157 are being used. That's certainly not an overrun of the system whatsoever. So I can completely understand the frustration and the idea that every job is essential. It's time to get back to work. And some numbers that are really important to me and things I've monitored for quite some time is we go from about San Joaquin County down to Kern County, what we would call Central California, and then more in particular, closer to the valley, the Central Valley. But if you just take that and just a general number for perspective, from San Joaquin County, right below Sacramento, to Kern County, and then all the way over to the Nevada border, all of the mountain counties, our mountain neighbors. In that territory you're talking, I think it's, I could be wrong, but I think it's like 4.4 million people in total in that territory, total population. There are 193 people in the hospital. There are 62 people in the hospital and ICU for a total of 255 people in that territory, all those counties. So 255 people in the hospital right now out of 4.4 million people of population. So I think California, all in all, has done a really good job. I think we're in a spot where we can safely get the businesses cranked back up. So that's my opinion we're in a phase now of doing everything that we possibly can to get our business back up. Again, we haven't had a single dollar come in from last October. That is a long, long time. It's been very painful. It's been painful not to be more aggressive with getting the business open and to do this in such a gentle and kind way, but that's what we chose to do. And now we're trying to do everything we can to get our business back up and running just like everyone else is. So with those numbers and a little bit of perspective, what we're doing now is heading May 23rd. I'll make the announcement right now. We're moving into phase 2. And again, for those of you that missed the last update, phase 1 is private testing, 10 people or less. Phase 2 is more of a test and tune for more cars, more people, like you generally see at a test and tune at any racetrack. Phase 3 will be racing without spectators. Phase 4, racing with 6 feet of spacing, social distancing with spectators. And then phase 5 will be back to full business or full operations. So we're heading into phase 2, May 23rd. I'll mention also there were 13 racetracks functioned in the state of California last week. It looks like there's another 3 coming on board this week. So there's a lot of activity. Marysville ran a full race. There's other tracks running races, pavement and pavement and dirt, as well as go-kart tracks. I just saw an announcement from Sears Point, June 6th and 7th. They'll run their first race with no spectators. So there's a lot of phase 3 level activity coming up, and it's all around us in the state. And so here's our outline. May 23rd, we go to phase 2, more open test and tunes, more cars. And then as we go into June, we want to go into a modified, what we've asked the county for is a modified phase 3. So what we will do for a couple of weeks, we will host races that are local events only, local competitors only, our club races, if anyone's familiar with that at the Madera Speedway. So we've asked for that for June, and as we go into late June and into July, we want to roll into a full phase 3, which would put televised races on with no spectators in the grandstands. Now I'll touch on no spectators in the grandstands. We plan to live stream all the events for free. I'm working on sponsorship right now to enable us to do that. So our fans will be able to watch the races live for free, from the club races to the TV races, everything that we're producing there. So we'll try and take care of our fans as well. And then as far as phase 4, spectators back in the grandstands, That's probably the number one question that I get right now from the fans. I believe that will really be up to how well things go here during the summer months. So I would hope by somewhere in late July to August, we could accomplish that. I'm not sure if that'll happen, but again, we'll just have to navigate that. Might be September or something like that. But I think that will be dependent on how well things go and how good the numbers look. What I will talk about very briefly also, it seems like the big concern and one of the things that we're working hard to navigate is hotspots. So people coming from hotspots as we move forward through these phases. Obviously, Los Angeles is a hotspot in California, so there's a lot of concerns there. So we've developed some techniques and things that we are using to make sure that we're monitoring where people come from, who comes to the racetrack, who's approved to come to the racetrack, and who absolutely might not be able to come to the racetrack. So with the private testing, this weekend we'll ramp that up from 10 people to 20 people. That begins tomorrow. And then next week we go into phase 2, which is, as I've mentioned a couple of times, more public testing with multiple cars. So what will happen with the phase 2 test and tunes? Each team, there will be arrival procedures, and there's a whole list of written procedures that we're going to email to the teams, all of the members. Each of the teams will receive an arrival package and how you arrive, how they stay in their vehicles, for example. We've got a screening station and then a registration station. There's a lot of things we're doing touchless. So with this package that we will email you, we'll get you all this information. So basically what's going to happen is each team will call the office or email the office. You will register. So for example, if I had a race team and I'm heading over the Madera Speedway to test, I would need to call actually 3 days in advance to book for that public practice. I would let the track know that it's Shepherd Motorsports. I have 5 individuals. We're from Madera County, and we want to test on May 23rd, for example. The office would then email me my packet. It would give me all of my instructions on how we do things, all the procedures, and it's very self-explanatory from there. So what will happen is the teams, if they're interested in the practice May 23rd next week, they'll communicate with the office. 209-356-1968 is the race office number. racemadera.com, you'll get all the information there as well. And you can either email or communicate with the office. If you do call, they're going to instruct you to email so they can return content back to you. And we'll go from there. So again, try to make this as quick as I can. There's a lot more that I could say, a lot of the numbers and where we're at. And again, everyone that's called me, I completely understand the frustrations. I've communicated with a lot of different county supervisors, for example, a lot of mayors in the different cities around the valley. They get it. They get it more than you think. They've got a lot of pressure on them. They're trying to do this the right way. But I think everyone understands, we're 2 months into this thing. There's a lot of people, checkbooks are really tightening up. A lot of us, and me in particular, we're living out of our savings account. We haven't laid anyone off or furloughed anyone. Everyone's still on the payroll. By the way, I'm very frustrated, but Payroll Protection Act, we were turned down because the Madera Speedway lost money last year. Very frustrating. We pay our payroll. But it's just life, I guess. I saw something the other day that was joking, something on social media that said, okay, when's it going to be Walmart, Costco, all the big stores, Home Depot, they all close for 2 months and the little guys get to operate. So that kind of hit a note with me. I smiled and snickered and thought, wow. But this has been rough for the little guys. So if you see someone frustrated that owns a business, don't take it out on them. It's scary times for all of us right now. So with that said, call the race office again, 209-356-1968. Most of you guys have my number. If you got any questions, call me. But we're heading into phase 2 next week, May 23rd. Last little bit of information, very important. To make sure that we don't shortchange any of the teams that aren't able to come from various areas at this point, we're delaying the start of our television show. So there won't be any race activity for sure until in June. So the May 30th race at this point is postponed. So and I've had a lot of calls about that from different groups, and TV teams really hoping that would happen. But to be fair, even as we go, if we're able to race in June, the first few races, the first 2 for sure, will be club races, local races. So May 30th is postponed. Again, if you have any questions, it's good news for us. We're moving into phase 2, and again, everyone at the county's been very good to work with. And we're trying to be as considerate as we possibly can while we're feeling so much pressure from sponsors, television, race teams, and so on. So again, give me a call if you have any questions. Give the race office a call. Hope to see you soon at the Madera Speedway. We'll see you at the next update.